Hey, Nation, Harry here with Ken Dwight out of Houston, Texas. Always a pleasure, sir. A couple of things but before we jump into the good stuff, couple of things. I am wearing a Cloud Summit shirt today, and the reason is I'm on my way to Denver, Colorado to the Ingram Cloud Conference. It's at the Gaylord out by the Denver airport. As you may well know, Ken, you're a pilot, but Denver invested forward in their airport. I got to hand it to them. About 30 years ago, they put that thing out in the middle of nowhere with room to roam. And I can appreciate that, my friend, because we're landlocked in Seattle.
Yeah, it's way out there. In fact, I was at the Gaylord a few months ago for the PAX 8 gathering. And
Oh,
have you been there before?
no, sir.
You're prepared to do a lot of walking. It's a
Okay.
big place, about 1,500 rooms.
Oh, my. Yeah.
And the
Well,
conference center, of course, is at the other side of the hotel.
yeah. Yeah. I'll get my Fitbit in.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, let's take one step backwards on maybe what you've seen since we last talked to you. Then I want to take two steps forward and talk about 2020. So what's news?
Well, really, one of the things that is not new at all, but it is time for people to be reminded of, it happens that an MSP in the Houston area got hit this past week with ransomware.
Yep.
And of course, we've talked about the fact that MSPs are targets and that sort of thing, but this is a guy that should have known better, and he's all cloud-based, and his backups were cloud-based as well, and they got encrypted. And so, it's such a basic thing, but evidently even MSPs, even the experienced ones, forget sometimes the importance of some sort of backup disaster recovery program.
I know.
And there's so many different forms it can take and so many different ways to do it, most of which would be vulnerable to ransomware. And
Yeah.
so, again, it's back to basics. But when I saw this particular one get hit, and this is one that's not a client, and in fact, we've had I'm not a fan, let's say.
Yeah.
Even so, I don't like to see anybody, or more importantly, their clients fall victim to that. And in fact, kind of in keeping with what I know of this guy, he basically sent out an email to all of his clients that got affected and said, well, we don't recommend you pay the ransom, but that's your decision. In other words, we're not going to help you.
Yeah.
So
There's
I'm sure he lost a lot of clients as a result of that. But anyway,
there's something wrong with that. You know what I mean? And Ken, I can tell you, it has become a roar. The one-to-many relationship of the MSP having many clients. So the last couple of events I've been to since we last caught up, it is the front and center conversation. Very, very interesting, to say the least. Well, hey, as we turn the corner into 2020, we're going to get through the holiday season. Folks, we've got Small Business Saturday coming up. That's one of my favorites in the SMB nation. So, go hit Main Street and spend a couple dollars. Ken, what will you be doing in 2020? And it's a good time to kind of revisit your business model and give a shout out to your URL. So what's 2020 hold for you?
Well, pretty much more of the same. One of the things that I think we've touched on before is, of course, a lot of what I do is teach other techies how to do what I do in terms of malware cleanup and remediation. And that workshop, ever since I started over 10 years ago, has been called Virus Remediation Training. And I've never been thrilled about the name, but in the last, since we last talked, I'm in the process of rebranding it. You hear the term incident response more and more these days. And so now it's going to be called the Malware Incident Response Workshop. Same content, new branding.
Yeah, hang on. I'm making a note on that, my friend. That is notable. So repeat again, please.
Malware Incident Response Training.
Okay. Okay, great.
The point is, what it's all about, and always has been about, is responding to a malware incident. Obviously, we talk about some of the preventive things along the way, but the basic premise is you've got an infected machine, now what? And so in the last year or so, I've seen the term incident response used more and more, and so figure it's time to get with the modern terminology.
Yeah. Do you anticipate speaking at some conferences and maybe publishing some articles or blogs? Is that the kind of the voodoo that you like to do?
Definitely be more publishing, more blogs, more podcasts, more interviews in the coming year. And of course, you've been a significant part of my media platform in the last year. So I appreciate that. I do actually have one blog post that's going to be more widely distributed and 3 new ones that will be coming out over the next few weeks, all related to the issue of MSPs and ransomware.
Yeah.
I'm happy to speak at conferences, and I don't have any lined up right now, but there are some that I'm in various stages of talking to about being there. One that's probably, again, not cast in concrete yet, but very likely that I will be participating in again is the IT Owners Compass in Chicago.
Yeah. Lori, I think, is the promoter's name, right? Yeah. Talk to me. Yeah, talk to us about that. Let's zero in on that one, and we'll call it good. So what is the conference?
That's a good conference. It's a small one, and it is for MSPs and break-fix shops only, small businesses. Lori has a very nice little business. In fact, she got good treatment in, I think it was, one of the trade magazines recently.
Probably Channel Pro. Yeah, I think I saw her in Channel Pro.
Yeah, I think it was actually one of them that's associated with the business, the outfit out of Pennsylvania. Business Solutions, I think, or anyway.
Any event.
But yeah, she put this thing together a few years ago. It was actually a follow-up to what had been called the Unconvention that Corey Fruitman out of Canada started doing. He did 2 of them, and then when it was time for the next one, Lori kind of picked it up, changed the name, and moved it to Chicago. And so they have about 100 attendees.
Yeah.
And a lot of concurrent sessions. It's generally 2 full days plus a half day on the front end or back end, and I'm not sure the exact format. But it'll be in April of next year. She's published the date, still working on the location and the exact content. But I have spoken at both of the previous ones, and she's indicated she does want me to speak again this year.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it because she does seem to have magic, both her personality, her professionalism, but also attracting an audience that, quite frankly, the sponsors may not have met before, right? Instead of going to the same old shows, she does have some magic. I got to hand it to her, and I'm hearing good things. But
Dado had a real good presence there last year, and they made quite a splash, and I'm sure met some people for the first time. Carl Palachuk was a big part of last year's event also, and it was at a different hotel this past year from what it was the year before, and it'll be at a different one next year. So every year there's the issue of getting the venue worked out, but every year Lori learns more, and she is a good learner. She pays attention to what worked and didn't work and the feedback she gets. And so I'm sure that this next one will be even better.
Oh yeah.
Too. And I don't know the pricing this year, but it's in the $200 to $300 range. So it's not one of those you got to spend $1,000 plus travel expenses.
Yeah. That's becoming a big problem in our industry, and
especially when you're talking about the small businesses, because again, a lot of these are one-person shops, or I think the biggest ones might have had 5 or 6 techs.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, let's close on this with the holiday season coming up. So anything fun ahead? Are you going to go fly in the sky or do anything?
Hope so. The fly-in season is pretty much wrapped up for the year. I have done my last couple of those in the last few weeks. And so, and that's not to say that I won't be flying or there won't be some flying events going on, especially in Houston. We can pretty much fly year round. And what I try to do as often as I can is what they call a $100 hamburger. Just fly somewhere to an airport that has a restaurant and then fly home.
I've heard that.
Hope to do some of those between now and the fly-in season starting back up in the spring.
All right. Well, happy holidays, and we'll be back at you after the first of the year with a new format. And thank you so much for being our friend in 2019, Ken.
Thank you, Harry. I look forward to seeing you in Austin before long.
All righty. You got it. Thanks.
All right. Happy holidays.
All right. Bye-bye.